This MMA 30 segment is powered by The Gun Store. Next time you're in Las Vegas, if you want to shoot a real machine gun, do it at The Gun Store at 2900 East Tropicana. Joining us on the show today is Randy the Natural Couture with a tremendous beard. Looking good, man.
Yeah, just being lazy, sick of shaving.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a long time, man. It feels like it's been a while since you've been out and doing all this filming, and you've kind of been all over the world, and I want to talk about that in just a second. But first things first, most importantly, this weekend here in Las Vegas, you got another very cool event that's coming up for the Extreme Couture GI Foundation, and you're kind of calling everyone, whether they have a motorcycle or a hot rod or people that just want to come out and participate in this. It's an opportunity for people to really give back to a great cause.
Absolutely. This is our third annual motorcycle poker run. We extended it to hot rods as well this year. I had a couple of football players last year that came to the event that don't ride.
Yeah. So
they ended up driving my Camaro around from stop to stop, and they had a blast. And so obviously, it doesn't take rocket scientist to figure out. You know what, we need to include the hot rods and hopefully make a bigger deal out of this. So we had about 300 bikes show up last year, so it was really big. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it costs a little bit of money. It's $25 per person or $10 for people to ride along, and all that money, of course, is going to the Extreme Couture GI Foundation. And, I mean, as your schedule has gotten busier and busier, it's cool that you're still finding time to make sure that you're doing these important events right here in Las Vegas.
Well, you know, it's a lot of fun for me. I wore the uniform for 6 years, so I have a clear understanding of what the sacrifices those guys go through, what they make and do. And now having met a lot of these guys that made the sacrifices and all those things, it's nice to be able to get back. And we're such a small organization. We have no red tape. Just about 100% of what comes in goes right back to the troops. We get to write checks and give them right to the hands of families. So it's pretty cool.
Well, that's very cool. And like I said, I mean, your schedule's been incredibly busy over the past couple of months and really a couple of years now. You've been working really hard on this film career, and it's taken off, man. I mean, I know that you have a couple of movies coming out. One of them, of course, very well publicized, The Expendables 2. It's got some brand new names in it. I mean, Arnold's joined the cast on this one. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Chuck Norris is in this one with you. How was the experience on Expendables 2?
It was a great experience. Much bigger movie this time around, which seems hard to fathom as big as the first one was. But yeah, I had a blast. We filmed in Bulgaria for 3 months. I think overall it was a lot of fun. The Bulgarian people were really friendly. The food was pretty dang good, so It wasn't bad at all. There are parts of it that are still surreal, and you kind of pinch yourself and make sure you're really there. You're not dreaming, but being around guys like Sly and Bruce Willis and Schwarzenegger is good experience. You get to see how they work and how they do what they've done. And those guys have been doing this stuff for 30 years, so they're good guys to be around.
This is almost as high profile as you can get in the film industry. Now that you're actually a part of this and you're seeing how it works, is it still something that you really go, man, this is exactly what I want to do? Or did the curtain get pulled back at a point and you go, boy, this isn't quite as glamorous as I thought it would be?
Well, it's definitely not as glamorous as you'd think it would be. It's a lot of work. It's a grind. You're working 12, 14, 15-hour days for months on end. The cool part's kind of getting to see the finished product, to do all the media and see the public and how it's received. And in some ways, it's a little like fighting. You kind of grind it out in the gym for 8-10 weeks, and then you get to go out and do your thing on your night. And there's a similar feeling to doing a movie.
So you mentioned that you have another movie coming out as well, and if I remember correctly, you're actually the lead in the other movie, correct?
That's right. It was Hijacked. Got to work with Vinnie Jones, Dominic Purcell, and Holt McCallany. I got to play the lead character in a CIA action thriller, and that'll come out in September.
Yeah, you mentioned that pay-per-view in September. I believe it's Dan Henderson and John Jones. They're saying is actually going to happen right here in Las Vegas. And that's a pretty interesting fight. I don't know if you've been too busy or you've been able to catch any of these fights. John Jones had a very nice showing against Rashad Evans at UFC 145. But I know that you and Dan have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
What is Dan Henderson's answer to John Jones? How does he figure out this kid?
I got to watch the Jones-Rashad fight. And I saw Rashad fight Phil Davis, and those were Fox shows, so I got to commentate for those, which is another thing that's been going pretty well for me. But obviously, I've known Henderson, started MMA at the same time as Henderson. We go way back to our Greco days, and I think the key for anybody I think, with Jones right now is to close the distance, to pressure him, to get inside that long range of his, not stand around for the spinning back fist and the spinning back kick and the long rangey, well-placed punches and kicks, but to get in his face. And Henderson has the style to do that. Obviously, he's considerably shorter. He doesn't have the 86-inch reach or whatever it is that John Bones Jones has. He's going to have to get close. And when he does get close, he's dangerous because he's got a crazy, powerful right hand and a pretty good left hand as well. So I think the more Dan can make this a wrestling match, up close, personal, ugly against the fence, grind it out, kind of a Greco wrestling match, and put him on the ground every chance he gets, the better it is for Dan. I think the longer you let a guy like Jones stand out at range in front of you, the bigger the chances you're going to get clipped.
The early line came out for that fight, and Jon Jones is a 9-1 favorite. Is that surprising to you?
Wow, that is crazy. Especially with the tear that Henderson's been on, beating Fedor, beating Fajal, all the stuff that he's been doing. I'm surprised that they're not giving him a little more credit than that.
Another interesting fight happening here in Las Vegas on July 7th. Chael Sonnen, who I know you're very close with as well, gets his rematch at long last against Anderson Silva. How do you see this one playing out? Similar to the first one, or did we see an off Anderson that night?
Obviously I think you'd think that Anderson would study that tape and really make some adjustments, but I don't know what adjustments you make. Chael's going to come right out and wade through him, and he's got amazing wrestling ability to put him on the ground over and over again like he did in the first fight. There's the chance that Chael will get the job done this time. It's going to be spectacular again. It'll still be interesting. You'd like to think that the onus is always on the guy that wins the first fight to make adjustments, but in reality, I think Anderson lost that fight. 23 minutes of the fight, he was on his back getting the hell beat out of him.
Right.
He pulled the triangle out of his rear end and won the fight. Kudos to him for staying in there and having the presence of mind to pull that off. I think it'll be interesting to see what adjustments he makes so that it doesn't go that way this time. It doesn't spend most of the fight on his back.
Final one for you, another Vegas fight, May 26th, coming up in just a few weeks. Junior Dos Santos being challenged for his heavyweight belt by Frank Mir. Frank Mir, local Las Vegas guy, too. It's an interesting fight. It's one that wasn't originally scheduled to happen because Alistair Overeem, though, is out of the main event there because of everything going on with the Athletic Commission. Frank Mir gets the opportunity. Is it the right time for Frank Mir? Do you think he's got the skills to get the job done against JDS?
I think he does. I think that, first of all, his striking has vastly improved. We saw it from the Nogueira fight on. He's much more formidable in the striking position. He's kind of made friends with being punched. He gets in there. He's hard-nosed. He throws good combinations. He finishes things with big, solid kicks. I think that his striking is good enough that he can make good transitions to get to Dos Santos and put Dos Santos on the ground. And obviously, Mir is a stellar submission guy. We've seen him break a few limbs, literally. And so I think if he can get Dos Santos down on the ground and take him out of that striking realm where he's strongest, he has a very, very good chance of winning the title back.
Surprised when I tell you that Junior Dos Santos in some places is a 5 or 6-1 favorite?
Yeah, that's a little surprising to me as well. Obviously sometimes the line goes on what people are betting and not so much, an honest, evaluation of their skill sets and how they fit together. Again, I think that's a much closer fight than a 5 or 6-1 deal.
Well, Randy, always great to talk to you, man. Can't wait for the new movies coming out. And, of course, this Saturday right here in Las Vegas is the Bike and Hot Rod Run. Registration is going to start around 9 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we'll actually start around 8.
Oh, 8. Okay, even earlier. Good.
I'll kick the ride off around 9:45.
Okay, so make sure you join everyone on Saturday. Randy Couture and the Extreme Couture GI Foundation doing great things. And this Saturday, your chance to hang out with him. Randy, always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, Dave. Great to see you.
You too.